Good morning.
This is Snowman in the Morning on the Arena Sports Network. And away we go! Good morning! Welcome to Wednesday, October 23rd, and welcome to Snowman in the Morning on the Arena Sports Network. Thank you all for joining us. We are presented by Fusion Ions Bands. Fusion Ions, live your best. And by Slugmaster Baseball and Softball Hitting and Training Aids. Slugmaster, turning batters into hitters. Did you sleep good? Good! Now it's time for some real, honest sports talk. And that's what we do here at the Arena Sports Network. When we decided, when we were in our ISNet era, we had the Brian and Rich show on 2 occasions, but unfortunately, because of scheduling, we couldn't keep it consistent. That's kind of the shows that we are putting together, but we're also doing it on a more consistent basis. This is real, honest sports talk. I mean, we're going to dare to ask the questions that no one else will speak aloud. And it could be about any subject, but for Snowman in the Morning, for this particular show, and Ronald Murchison, a good friend of mine, described it best, it's not just all sports. There's a lot of life mixed in, too. And later on in this hour, I'm going to pose a question that will make everybody think, what? That's not about sports. No, it's not. What I have in mind is not about sports. It won't be the question of the day. More on that later. It won't be the question of the day, but it's something that, a lot of people think about but don't think about. And I've asked the question many times. You'll hear that later on in the first half hour of the show. In 3 minutes, Rusty Silber will join me for Rusty's Morning Wrap, and that's presented by TCF Bank, the official bank of the Arena Sports Network. He'll dominantly talk about the Blackhawks, giving up 2 goals in the third period, but still winning in Florida. That final was 3-2. The Colorado Avalanche are in front in the Central Division by 4 points over the defending Stanley Cup champions, and that alone is can be attributed to the influence of Patrick Waugh. More on that a little later. Today is the 2013 World Series, Game 1 from Fenway Park in Boston. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Boston Red Sox. Let me go ahead and throw this out there right now. Today is Game 1 of the World Series, and I know some people will be watching. Who are you choosing? Tweet your choices to @Snow Morning Show or drop your knowledge on our Facebook page. And that's where you can find us, facebook.com/snowmaninthemorning. Tweet us your choice @Snow Morning Show. Who are you picking, the St. Louis Cardinals or the Boston Red Sox? I'll reveal my pick before we go inside the journey later in the show. Rusty Silber coming up in 2 minutes. And as I mentioned, later on I'll have a question that I shouldn't say no one thinks about. A lot of people think about it but are afraid to ask it. Talk a little bit about the plight of the Bears. Where do they go from here? Minus Jay Cutler, minus Lance Briggs. And I'll also touch on the rash of injuries that happened this past Sunday. 3 players out with a torn ACL. 3 very key players, including a quarterback. More on that. And it's a chilly Wednesday morning as we talk to you from our studios here in Chicago. We are on the move. The studios and our offices are on the move. And, I may as well go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. By Thanksgiving, we'll have a new location for our studio and for our show and all kinds of good stuff. And like I said, that'll be right around Thanksgiving. Tonight at 7:15, it is the premiere, and I know we waited until the last week of the season to do this, but Josh Lopez, our social media madman, announcer extraordinaire, and Arena Sports Network team member, will join me for the call of Ronner and Pritzker in the Noble Network game of the week. Ronner 5-3, Pritzker 7-1, and Pritzker just recently had their 34-game regular season winning streak snapped in the form of a shutout, 34-0. Pritzker will try to get back on track. You'll hear all the action live tonight beginning at 7 o'clock with the Gigahertz pregame show. Then Josh and I will have the call live from Lane Stadium. Mark Farina will join me. I hope Mark Farina will join me at halftime for a quick halftime interview, another dear friend of mine. And that's all today. Tomorrow, as I continue our announcements, tomorrow we have Indiana High School Volleyball State Tournament action featuring the Blazers of Marquette Catholic, and they will play approximately 7 p.m. There will be a match in front of it from the Scholl Center, but we'll have that for you, and we'll probably start our broadcast, like I said, approximately at 7 p.m. But now it's about that time. It's 5 after the hour, and it's time for Rusty's Morning Wrap-Up, presented by TCF Bank. And I can't do this. I got to have Rusty do this. He's on the line with me right now. Rusty, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. I got the chill in the air, feel pretty good, and it's that time where the Blackhawks know how to play, especially on the ice these days.
Did you ever find your scraper?
No, I'm still looking for it. The part about those Hawks games, though, it's when those ladies come out and they're scraping the ice, though.
Yeah? Yeah, you had a point there.
So maybe I can find one of those ladies to scrape off the car again this morning. That could help me out.
What you got in the wrap-up for us this morning, Rusty?
All right, morning, Brian, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday, Rusty's Morning Wrap-Up, presented by TCF Bank, the official bank of the Arena Sports Network. Blackhawks, once again, are having problems closing out games in the third period. Would you believe they've been outscored 10-3 so far this season? Problems in the third period, and caught up to them again last night. They let a 2-goal lead slip away, and they fortunately defeated the Panthers 3-2 in Florida last night in a shootout. Jonathan Tate, Patrick Sharp scored in that shootout. Tate and Brian Bickle scored in regulation. Corey Crawford made 20 saves, and it was the first shootout win for the Hawks this season. Hawks will next play the Lightning in Tampa. That'll be tomorrow evening. Bulls unbeaten in the preseason at 6-0 will get a road test against the Oklahoma City Thunder this evening in Wichita, Kansas. Bulls will most likely be short again. Jimmy Butler and Kirk Heinrich all out with injuries. Well, the wait is over. Major League Baseball World Series. Adam Wainwright will throw for the Cardinals. John Lester for the Red Sox. It's a rematch of the 2004 World Series. And I heard that the mayors of Boston and St. Louis do not want to put a wager on the series.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
Yeah, Washington Redskins safety Brandon Merriweather has appealed his 2-game suspension for illegal hits against the Chicago Bears on Sunday. A decision will be made if he can play coming up this Sunday against the Broncos. Bears return back to some practices in its bye week, dealing with major injuries to quarterback Jay Cutler and Lance Briggs. Michael Finley, we mentioned that yesterday. Good news to report out of him. He's taking some more tests, but he looks like he may be able to come back to play football after that week that he had sometime over the next month. And lastly, Brian, this might be alarming, but Aledo football coach Tim Buchanan was sitting at his Texas office last Saturday morning watching game film of his high school game in which his team beat Western Hills 91-0.
Ouch!
When an email popped up on his computer, the subject line read bullying report. Buchanan couldn't believe it and thought it was a joke until he read the email and realized a Western Hills parent had filed on the district's online form accusing the coaching staff of bullying thanks to the lopsided score.
Oh, wow.
Now, let me point this out. Western Hills is 0-7. Aledo is one of the best teams in its class in Texas.
And they're filing a complaint because they got a foot put in their rear end by one of the best teams in the state. Something wrong with that picture?
Rusty Silver for the Arena Sports Network, and don't forget to visit TCF Bank for more information. Let me just say this. I'm not sure if a bullying report could be handed down just because you beat the team by so many points. Yes, that's not good sportsmanship, as we know, but number one, we weren't there to see what the team, both teams look like. But,
right.
Texas football, I know, is serious. But I guess parents have their serious side too. That's all I'm going to say.
And that's how I'll leave it as well. You and I have both dealt with quote-unquote serious parents. That's Rusty Silber. Thank you, Rusty. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
Rusty Silber for Rusty's Morning Wrap on the Arena Sports Network inside Snowman in the Morning. When we come back, I'll talk a little World Series, Cardinals and Red Sox. That comes your way in less than 60 seconds, 10 after the hour on Snowman in the Morning on the Arena Sports Network.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Time starts now. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat? Where can you find the answers to these questions?
Car crashes are one of the leading killers of U.S. children. Many of those deaths could be prevented by making sure that kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, Ed Farmer here. As a closing pitcher for the Sox in 1980, I racked up 30 saves, a Sox record at the time. But thanks to a life-saving kidney transplant in 1991 from my brother Tom, someone else helped save me. Just like my organ donor, you too can give someone a second chance at life. In fact, as a registered organ donor, you can help save the lives of more than 25 people. Be a team player. Register to be an organ and tissue donor at DonateLifeIllinois.org.
Register today to be an organ and tissue donor at DonateLifeIllinois.org.
Hey, can I talk to you for a second? Come on over. How do you feel about mobile banking?
If I could sum it up in one word, easy.
It's so convenient. I actually do a lot of my banking on a mobile app.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
Love mobile banking.
With the TCF mobile app, you can bank anytime, anywhere. So how would you use it?
If I need to check my balance really quick, or if I need to transfer funds really quick, I'll whip out my phone and do the little app.
At the airport yesterday when my flight got canceled and I needed to buy another ticket.
What's the craziest place where you've banked on your phone?
In the bathroom. Before I got in the shower.
Yeah.
Probably a plane when you're not supposed to be on your phone. They tell you to turn it off.
In bed.
I was in Morocco in the middle of the desert.
Morocco?
Yeah.
There isn't a crazy place for mobile banking. It's convenient.
Download the free TCF mobile app for your smartphone and tablet. Switch to the home of free checking today. For locations and more information, call 1-855-OPEN-TCF or go to tcfbank.com. TCF Bank. Surprisingly connected. Member FDIC.
You know I had to play this song. 13 after the hour on Snowman in the Morning on this Wednesday, October 23rd. And we are presented by Fusion Ions Bands. Fusion Ions, live your best. And also by Slugmaster, baseball and softball hitting and training aids. Slugmaster, turning batters into hitters. And we thank you all for joining us. World Series begins tonight with the Red Sox and the Cardinals. Cardinals seeking their 12th World Series championship. Boston Red Sox seeking their third in 10 years. They go 86. Oh, I'm going to have fun with this. They go 86 years without winning a world championship, and then 2004 happened against the Cardinals, ironically. And they won a second one in 2007. The Cardinals have won two of their own, 2006 and 2011. They narrowly missed going to the World Series last year, up 3-1 in the National League Championship Series, but losing that in 7 games to the Giants, the eventual champions. And these two will hook up tonight, beginning in Boston for Game 1. And the question of the day is very simple. Who are you picking, the Red Sox or the Cardinals? Are you rooting for the Carmines, or are you rooting for the Redbirds? I'll give my prediction in just a moment. This is going to be, to say this World Series is going to be interesting is an understatement. because you're looking at two of the hottest teams in Major League Baseball. And I mean the absolute hottest teams in Major League Baseball. Both won their League Championship Series in 6 games. And Boston took care of Detroit when it looked like Detroit was ready to seize control of the League Championship Series, and Boston said, "Oh, no, you don't. We're not having it, and you're not getting it either." And you have to wonder, did that loss cause Jim Leyland to step down? I don't think it did. But you're looking at, and the key for Boston that got them going in that League Championship Series was Big Papi's slam in Game 2. That rallied them from a 5-1 deficit, tied the game. They eventually won it in the bottom of the 9th inning, 6-5. And they grabbed the series lead in Detroit and took care of business back in Boston in Game 6. And here they are in the World Series. And here they are back in Boston for the first time since 2004. This could go all 7 games. It really could. Adam Wainwright will get the ball for St. Louis tonight. But for St. Louis, here are the keys of the series. For Boston, it's going to be their bats. They have to get started early. They can't fall behind like they did against Detroit, even though they won the series. And it looked like Detroit was going to dominate them in Game 2. And I think it was Game 4, where where the bats were silent again. But when you're facing pitchers like Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, and you're gonna have games like that. But it almost cost Boston that series. After losing the first game 1-0, they were able to bounce back. But the key for Boston is going to be their bats getting going early, because they are facing an even more superior pitching staff in the Cardinals, especially with the talented rookie they have by the name of Michael Waka Waka. Michael Waka is his name. For the Cardinals, been there, done that, yes, but you're still excited to get to the World Series. Waka has proven himself worthy on every stage so far. Now, this talented rookie who is pitching like a 10-year veteran has a shot to prove himself on the biggest stage of all. And the biggest key to this series, I believe, is this. Of course, the World Series, of course, is a 2-3-2 format. 2 in Boston, 3 in St. Louis, last 2 in Boston. And I have said this about many a series. I mean, I've said this about many a series, and it holds true, but it's definitely going to hold true here. If St. Louis could steal either one of the first 2 games, they'll win the series at home. If you go back to 2006, St. Louis split the first 2 games in Detroit. They got it back to Busch Stadium, and they took care of business. They won that series in 5 games. And to think that the Cardinals are doing this without one of their franchise players whom they let go. Of course, I'm speaking of Albert Pujols. They got some players, the Cardinals do, that hardly anybody has even heard of until now, until these playoffs. And you wouldn't believe it, but that's where they are. That's where they are. Lance Lynn's been there. He was there in 2011 when they when they won the whole thing. John Lester will go for the Red Sox on Wednesday. He'll be opposed by Adam Wainwright. Lester needs to get started early. Lester's a strikeout pitcher. And he needs to find a way to keep these Cardinals off balance. He throws 4 pitches. He's got a fastball, a slider, a changeup, and a curveball. And the changeup looks different coming from a lefty than it does from a righty. For Adam Wainwright, you're talking about the pitcher who was on the mound closing out the World Series in 2006, who has now become one of the best starters in the majors, not just the National League, but the majors, throwing for St. Louis in Game 1. I wouldn't be surprised if this game ends up like a 2-1 or a 3-2 contest. Another key for Boston is going to be Shane Victorino. He delivered the blow that knocked out the Tigers in Game 6 when he gave Boston the lead with a slam. And that occurred in the 7th inning. And I know Patrick Ketza is seething at me right now for talking Cardinals, but I'm sorry, Patrick. The Cardinals are in the World Series, and I'm kind of required to talk about them. Now, I promised I would give a pick. I'm not going to pick who will win the entire series. I will do this game by game. Adam Wainwright, John Lester. This game could be played in less than 2 hours, the way those two love to pitch, and the way those two have been basically dominant. You know, John Lester is the ace of the Red Sox staff. Adam Wainwright, one of the 2 aces for the Cardinals. It could also look like a reminder of 2001 when Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson met up against the New York Yankees. Could 2 aces beat a full house? That's what's facing the Cardinals today. And I'm going to go out on a limb, and I say the Cardinals take Game 1. It won't be a blowout. It'll be close. Don't be surprised if it even goes extra innings. But I say the Cardinals take Game 1. You can hear Game 1 tonight all over your radios and watch it on Fox with Joe Buck and Tim McCarver on the call. Pause for a break, and I got a weird question. A very weird question that a lot of people thought about but never had the guts to ask. Tell you that in 60. How do you turn a batter into a hitter? With Slugmaster Hitting Stations. Slugmaster Hitting Stations are the most effective and durable baseball and softball batting practice devices available. Versatile, compact, and easy to use, they are excellent tools for ball player at any skill level. Attached to any pole or post for an instant hitting station. Use it at the ballpark, at home, or anywhere you want to get some hits in. Work the strike zone, top to bottom, in and out. The most complete workout year-round, indoors or outdoors, teams or individuals. Slugmaster equipment is constructed from high-grade steel. The rugged design means years and years of use. Slugmaster equipment is used by youth, high school, college, and professional ball players. For more information or to place your order, call 708-705-7354 or visit slugmaster.com. Slugmaster Baseball and Softball Hitting Aids, turning batters into hitters. Okay, the Hawks won last night. I have to play this. 25 after the hour on Snowman in the Morning on this Wednesday, October 23rd. Like I said, the Hawks won last night. They scored 3, Florida scored 2, so I have to play that song for our beloved Stanley Cup champions. Now then, as we continue on this it's Hump Day. Whoop whoop. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in. On this Hump Day edition of Snowman in the Morning, I have a question that a lot of people would think is weird, but it's not. They would think it's crazy, but it's not. Whatever happened? And the question is this: whatever happened to video games? I mean, we have video games that are out right now for every kind of system that you can think of. But I'm talking about video games where you would walk into an arcade. What happened to those? Where you would walk into an arcade and lose your brains over because you see every game that you have wanted to play but never have gotten a chance to play, and as soon as you even blink, your roller quarters are gone. Living here in Chicago on the south side in a mall called Ford City, they had a video arcade called Tilt. And I will freely admit this, I spent a lot of money in that joint. That's because they had the games that they had all the old school games that I wanted to play. And the kind of games that are out now are sagas and not games. You can't just play one round and game's over, reset, let's try again. No, you have to continue from a certain spot. And that's even true with the sports games that are out now that will allow you to save conditions that you put into the game. What happened to just dropping a quarter in a machine, playing a game? If you lose, you lose. Games like Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Zaxxon. Yes, I went there with Zaxxon, and I'm going to go there with this. Galaga, Space Invaders, Donkey Kong. One of my favorite places that I go to, especially when I'm covering TIU and I'm in the Deerfield area, I would drive over to a little spot in Schaumburg called GameWorks, and I want to thank my buddy Frank for turning me on to GameWorks. On the upper level, they have a row of games that are they're all old school games. They're the only ones in the place. Rally X, Pac-Man, Galaga, Dig Dug, what else? Donkey Kong, Frogger. Yes, Frogger. You all old school heads remember Frogger. You remember Donkey Kong. And Donkey Kong, for many who have done research on video games, and yes, there is more than me that do research on video games, Donkey Kong started the Mario franchise. 1981. Whatever. Donkey Kong started the Mario franchise. And that series went like this. In 81, you had Donkey Kong. A year later, you had Donkey Kong Jr. A year after that, you had Donkey Kong 3. But Donkey Kong 3 wasn't as popular as the first two. But I still love playing it, though. 3 years after that, same year, 83 came Mario Brothers. Significant drop then. And I mean significant drop of a game. Significant introduction of a game. Mario Brothers came out in 1983. And when Super Mario Brothers came out in 1986, off to the races they went. The Pac-Man series. You have Pac-Man that was in 1980. Miss Pac-Man, which was 1981. A year after that came Super Pac-Man, 82. 83 came Pac-Man Jr. And later on in 83 came Pac-Land. And in that same year, another game was released in that series called Pac-Man Plus. But when Junior Pac-Man and Pac-Land and Pac-Land dropped, and remember there was a cartoon accompanying this game at the time, you kind of figure that would be the end. That would be the end of their run. But Namco revived it and put it in a video game that has the old version of Pac-Man and plus an enhanced version of Pac-Man. Another video game series that I love to play, which was Pole Position. Now they only had 2 of those. They had Pole Position and they had Pole Position 2, but there were other driving games that were out at the time. Turbo being one. Yes, Turbo. Rally X, mentioned that earlier. TX1 was another one. And then one of my all-time favorite driving games, aside of Pole Position, in 1985 or 87, excuse me, thank you. 1987, there appeared a game called Outrun. And Outrun took a little bit of Pole Position and made it modernized as you're driving in this convertible, and the graphics were great. The graphics were absolutely great. When you would hit something, you would flip over, and you would have to navigate through a course and a series of turns to try to get to the goal, and that's where you have a chance to get an obscene amount of points. We're talking in the millions and the billions of points. One of the classic shooting games that I miss seeing is Space Invaders. Space Invaders, one of the video games that started the craze in 1979. 2 years later came Galaga, Galaxian, all those kind of shooting games. Zaxxon, 1982, Super Zaxxon, behind that. These are the kind of games that folks like me, and I know a few others that can identify with this, grew up with and had fun with. Games that you didn't mind playing. Will Smith, who was identified as the Fresh Prince once upon a time, did a song about video games and his addiction to video games. And he mentioned one in that song. Trying to remember the title. I'll remember the title in a minute. He mentioned a game that became a movie, or it could have been vice versa. Tron. Tron was, for me, one of the first really big futuristic games. It was a challenge. They had 4 different stages, and recently having a chance to see it, it didn't occur to me that the levels in Tron, whenever you got through all 4 stages of one level, you moved on to the next level. It didn't occur to me until I recently saw it that every level when you moved up was a programming language. COBOL, BASIC, Pascal, I think they had 6 levels in all. But every level was a programming language. I didn't realize that until I took a peek. And it's like, wow. I didn't even know that. What were your favorite video games growing up? What were your favorite video games that you wasted a lot of money on? People call it wasting money. I call it entertainment, to stop everyone from being bored. And I know I missed a few, but running short on time, and I got to take a break here in a moment. But what were some of the video games that you played back in the day? Give me your answer on our Facebook page, facebook.com/snowmaninthemorning. Oh, I got a couple of minutes? Okay, good. Got a couple extra minutes. Let me go on here on this video game thing. Now, I mentioned the shooting games, Galaga, Galaxy. mention when Space Invaders came out. Two popular science fiction movies that became video games were Star Wars and Star Trek. Star Wars has experienced a revival. But the old Star Wars game in 1983 was, for me, when I first had a chance to play it, what the hell is this? And then I played it, and I wound up spending part of my allowance playing that doggone game. Shooting cones off the towers, going underneath into a tunnel, and hearing the voice from beyond saying, "Use the Force, Luke." And then popping the enemy ships. Star Trek was the same way. Star Trek was the same way. I remember a television show called Starcade with popular game show host Jeff Edwards. He would introduce all kinds of the newest games, and the year that Starcade premiered was 83. It ran from 83 to 86. And you would see games on there that you were familiar with, but not familiar with, but got familiar with really quick. Because you'd go out and find them and try to play them. And now I have to take a break. Pause. When we come back, got a plug coming up from my buddy Matt Rincars and what to do to stay the course in your health journey. In 2 minutes, 36 beyond the hour on Snowman in the Morning on the Arena Sports Network.
Register for CPR, ACLS, First Aid, AED, and more life-saving classes today with Dr. Catherine and Associates. They teach CPR nationwide 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by appointment. They teach advanced cardiac life support, and they are an approved American Heart Association training facility. Visit them today at 820 East 87th Street, Suite 100 in Chicago. You can also give them a call at 312-623-2433 or go online to learncprchicago.com. Dr. Catherine and Associates, in the community, for the community.
My name is Matt Rincars, and I'm the founder of Fusion Ions. We are so confident that you're going to love our bands, we want you to try one risk-free so you can see for yourself how powerful these bands really are. Don't wait. Go to FusionIons.com to find out how you can receive your very own free Fusion Ions band. Take advantage before they are gone. FusionIons.com. That's FusionIonz.com.
It began as a promise. Son, we're going on a road trip. That promise has lasted over 30 years. Our dream is to visit every national park in America. It's been thousands of miles, countless bumps along the way, but we'll just keep moving on, pursuing this amazing dream.
Visit DrassichAgency.com or call 219-945-3040 and ask Joel Drassich how you can get all of your insurance under one roof.
A little less conversation, a little more action.
38 beyond the hour on Snowman in the Morning on this Wednesday, Hump Day edition. We hope that you are enjoying it. Hope that you're enjoying this Wednesday edition, and I got a... Oh! My buddy Nick Strong from Houston, Texas is tuning in this morning, and he just shot me a great question, and I will follow up the video game conversation. Whatever happened to video game consoles? Oh, what a great question. Thank you, Nick Strong. Man, I told you people listen to the morning show. And we are presented by Fusion Ions bands. Now, I forgot to make this announcement yesterday, but I'm going to do it right now. Fusion Power Hour is now Unspoken Cures Radio. Note the title, Unspoken Cures. because there are cures out there for whatever ails you, and you can defeat anything that you have naturally if you knew the information. Well, Matt Rencars and Donald Barrett bring it to you every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. Fusion Power Hour is now Unspoken Cures Radio. Same great show, same great hour, same wonderful information. Only thing that's different is the title. And Matt Rencars has a book coming out in January with the same title, Unspoken Cures, Weight Loss Edition. And I had a chance to read the first chapter, and there's a question and answer that he put twice in that first chapter when he said, "What the hell do I know about being obese?" Answer, everything. Folks, I echo that sentiment, and I also echo changing that, which leads us inside So Man's journey today. And something that I have struggled with until recently is staying the course with exercise. I've had the problem in the past of starting and stopping. I'll start a new exercise program, then I'll stop after I get worn out. I'll start another one, and then I'll stop after I get discouraged because I couldn't complete it. I'll start another one, and then I'll stop because life got in the way. This time, though, it's different, except for 2 occasions, one of which was a travel occasion, and the second that I was just plain tired and had a horrible headache. I've stuck with these exercises. And Matt keeps coaching me and telling me, and it's the truth, and Matt's going to be the death of me with these exercises that he's posting. Matt, I love you. He said you can always modify. One of the exercises that Matt has talked to me about and shown me, and it's got an odd name, but it's a hell of an exercise to try, is called a burpee. And what a burpee is, it's a cardio, it's a cardio exercise. What you do, and I've attempted this, you drop into a squat and then kick out, down into a push-up, push back up, back into a squat, back up, hands over your head with a clap. Now, all of that put together sounds easy to do, and it is, until you try to do them all. If you haven't exercised consistently in a long time, like I have, admittedly, when you try that first one, you don't want to do another one. And he had a set of exercises last night, 30s, 20s, and 10s. 30 burpees, 30 sit-ups, and 30 Superman holds. And then 20, and then 10. I got through the 30s, but the burpees killed me. And that's when Matt shot me the text message, "It's all right to modify." So I'm going to try, what I'm going to do, and I forgot, there's a lot of exercises that I've done on this road that I didn't record a time for, and I apologize for that. So what I'm going to do is repeat them. I am going to not only do the exercise that Matt posts today, I'm also going to repeat the one that I tried yesterday, the 3-in-1. I know I'm going to do some sit-ups this morning at least before I get the heck out of here and get my day started. And as far as the diet goes, Matt was right. When you detox your body and you put yourself through 10 days without the foods that you love, it is rough. I had points in time yesterday where I nearly lost focus, but I would grab a sip of water or a cup of green tea and I'm back on again. It's rough. It's rough detoxifying your body. But when you do that and combine it with the exercises, it's going to help you become a fat-burning machine. And Matt has used that term to me. And I'm also going to say I'm going to go longer than the 10 days because now, even though it's rough, I'm starting to develop a rhythm. I'm starting to develop better habits. I'm starting to develop what Matt has talked to me about, and that is the cure to the food addiction. But back to the point that we're talking about today, getting back on course with your exercises. If you miss a day because you are flat out tired and your body couldn't move, that's fine. But don't fall into the trap where it's okay to miss the next day because you're still tired from the previous day. That is an excuse. I should know. I have done it. I have made that excuse many times over. And I vowed to myself and to my two favorite fans that I would never do it again. And I haven't. It has been said so many times that if you do some sort of exercise during the day, that you're getting your exercise in. To a point, that is true. To a point, that is true. But what's also true is if you push yourself and get your proper rest and get your proper nutrition, you can go on to the next challenge. So my challenge is remaining consistent with exercises, and so far with the ones that Matt has posted in the Unspoken Cures Facebook page, I haven't been able to complete most of them, but I have attempted them. And the exercises that he posts are 15 minutes or less. But again, it's going to take me a little longer to get used to it because I haven't been consistent. Now, how can you be consistent? How am I going to remain consistent? I'm going to keep doing it. If I couldn't complete, and I made this decision this morning. If I couldn't complete an exercise that I did before, I'm going to do it again the next day and see how far I can get. The point is, you have to find the motivation to push yourself each day. And my motivation is a goal that I have set for Christmas Day. And that is to finally be rid of this stomach and be rid of this belly after carrying it for 12 years. And I've done other exercises that are off the board, off the Unspoken Cures board. I've done a lot of walking. I've done sit-ups. I've done push-ups. I've mixed them all together. My mistake is I haven't chronicled them. I've chronicled them verbally, but I haven't chronicled them in my blog that I just released. I'm going to start doing that today as well. And that's going to start with a repeat of the exercises that Matt posted yesterday. Go to Facebook. Go to the Unspoken Cures Facebook page. You can find a link to it on the Snowman in the Morning page. He's got some great exercises there, man. I mean, ones where if you haven't done it in a while and you try these, you will be sweating. You will be sweating. If he can do it, I can do it. And if I can do it, I know for a doggone fact you can do it. I want to encourage everyone that is fighting obesity right now. I want to encourage everyone that is fighting a weight problem right now. Do not be afraid to A, do something about it, and B, do not be afraid to admit that you had a problem. I admitted 2 problems on this show since it's launched. An addiction to sugar and addiction to food. Period. And my addiction to food, and I just realized this, my addiction to food, especially after my dad died in 2007, led to my depression. Whenever I got depressed about something, I leaned on food to pull me through. Now I'm leaning on Matt, I'm leaning on Liz and Donna, and I'm leaning on the exercises and the information that's being put out there to pull me through. Okay? Some people, when you try to lean on them, will let you down. Do not go to those people. Some situations that you're used to doing when you get depressed are going to let you down. Do not go there. The most dangerous addiction is food and sugar, okay? The antidote to that is exercise each day and fight each day till you cannot fight anymore to stay away from that addiction, because it is an addiction. But now I'm getting addicted to exercise. I'm getting addicted to being healthy. I'm getting addicted to looking in the mirror each morning and smiling, and the smile getting bigger and bigger and bigger, knowing that by Christmas Day, I am going to be rid of this stomach. If I'm not completely rid of it, then 3/4 of this bad boy is going to be gone, and Matt is going to be one of the biggest reasons. I'm encouraging y'all right now, listen to Unspoken Cures Radio this Saturday. They're going to have some great information, and they're going to talk about they're going to talk about the game of golf and how you need to be in shape to play it. And it's so true. It is so true. But again, I'm encouraging you guys. I'm encouraging everybody that has fought the weight problem. And men especially. Man, listen. Don't be afraid to admit you had a food addiction. Because once or twice in our lives, we go through it. We go through stuff we got no business going through. And the natural reaction is to reach into the refrigerator unless you have already conditioned yourself not to. We've done it. I've done it. And until recently, I still did it. Okay? Fight the addiction with exercise. Become addicted to exercise. If it's like 2 rounds of stairs that you do, take a few minutes and get some cardio in, or get some weights in. Do something to keep yourself active, because this nation is becoming lazier and lazier by the second. And what's troubling me, the more I find out and research and divulge into this, is that 3/4 of the people would blame it on something else instead of taking a look in the mirror. Instead of figuring out how they can be consistent with their exercises. If I don't do anything else today besides attempting to repeat the exercises of last night, I'm going to get in a half-mile walk. I'm going to get in a half-mile jog. And yes, I said jog. I said jog. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it before I put a shirt and tie on and go call a game tonight. Speaking of which, Ronner and Pritzker tonight, 7:15. Josh Lopez will join me. We're up at 7 with the Gigahertz pregame show. I want to thank Matt Rencars for allowing me to plug his book, Unspoken Cures, Weight Loss Edition. Thanks to everyone who has listened. Enjoy your hump day, everybody, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow. God bless. Make your next move your best move. So long, everybody.
The Rock says...